Don't mess him up.
I try to do the same thing.
You can't do it like me.
I know I
Brandon.
can't.
No
I'm
one
sorry.
can.
Up there's your vein again.
Welcome to Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I am Jacob Volk. Sitting across from me, Brandon Johnson, Dominic Arbolino, and Eric Fischetti. Guys, how are you?
Great.
Pretty good.
I know why you're happy, but I don't understand it. I mean, go ahead, take it. We all know it.
Well, Todd Bowles and Mike McCagnon have been re-signed for 2 years, and I'm actually pretty excited about the move for the Jets. I mean, when you look at, in terms of what Mike McCagnon has been able to do in terms of releasing all the veterans and actually been like, the drafts, I wouldn't say have been, I wouldn't say they're awful.
They're not up to
I would
par.
not say they're great. I would say, they're average. They've been average drafts. I mean,
I'll say average to below average.
Because in terms of the later rounds, you haven't really found too much, except for last draft, with Elijah McGuire. He's been...
Yeah, McGuire's been good.
Panning out. Shell has been, doing a little better. I mean, he has his moments, but...
Whiffed on quarterbacks.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So you whiff on the quarterbacks, but when it comes to Todd Bowles, the reason why I think that this is a pretty much a good move for the Jets. I understand you have the back-to-back. Most likely it's going to be 5-11 records, because assuming that the Jets do lose to the Patriots on Sunday,
which I hope they do.
Yes, so do I. But in terms of, I think with just being able to get the locker room back together and being actually seem like a coach.
How has he gotten the locker room back together? Wilkerson's disrespecting him.
All right, well,
I mean,
you're gonna get. They made it clear that they're pretty much getting rid of Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, because not only did they benched him the last 2 games now, and they're probably not going to play him on Sunday either. In terms of you saw him play his last game in a Jets uniform, because I really don't think he's going to play on Sunday. And then in terms of with Darren Lee and all the younger guys, Muhammad Wilkerson, it's a pretty unfortunate situation. A guy that was supposed to be the leader of this team in terms of, he got his money and everything.
He was a bad influence on the younger guys.
Exactly, which is why, the Jets are definitely going to get rid of him, and they're going to, that's going to be probably the statement now, is if you're going to continue this trend, like if anybody wants to show up late, this is going to happen to you. You see Muhammad Wilkerson, look, he's off the team now. That's what's going to happen to you.
But didn't Bowles say before the season started that he was okay with players showing up late? Didn't he say that? I mean, am I misremembering that? Someone look me up. Like, if you're late, it doesn't matter. Alarms don't work or something like that. And
I can try and find it.
Francesa tore him a new one on it. I remember it.
That's not a good look, of course. And no coach should be saying that. I mean, come on now.
No, you're right. Todd Bowles is a horrible coach.
I don't think so.
But as of recently,
I don't think so.
He's 5-11.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's 5-11.
Records don't matter.
No. All right, look, obviously records matter, but when you look at if records matter, he did have one good season. You might have missed out on the playoffs. Fine, I understand that.
He went 10-6 and missed the playoffs.
But if you're looking at this coach and what he's doing with all these young guys, all these young players, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but they all tweet and they're very excited to have Todd Bowles back.
What do you want them to say? Let me ask you something. What do you want them to say?
Well, plenty of players will go out on Twitter and say whatever they want. You see it all the time. So obviously I don't think they plan on doing that, because you see that a lot with, no offense to the Giants over there, but you see it over there.
Don't worry about that.
No, but in terms of Todd Bowles, I think he's actually being able to shape this team together, and you see they're moving in the right direction.
You are nuts.
I'm not nuts.
No better this year than they were last year.
That's not true, because you have all those veterans.
Dominic.
You have all those veterans, though, that are washed-up veterans.
Record.
No, I don't.
The exact same record. They're stagnant.
I don't agree with you.
I don't agree with you.
I understand that they're going to be the same record. I understand that. But when you look at the differences of the teams in terms of last year, it was an older team that they just swapped. They got rid of everybody. They dropped everybody. They didn't care how loyal they were to the Jets. They were able to get their cap space, and look at how much cap space you have going into the season.
That was a McCagnon move. Good job, McCagnon.
Okay, fair. But you have to realize that in terms of with the young players and what they're being able to do, they were literally all fending, to keep Todd Bowles. And personally, I think he's done a great job in terms of with keeping the defense together, with losing the big parts of the defense, and still actually being able to play well. And obviously, we all know he was a defensive coordinator in Arizona. I think the offense with John Morton, he's had his ups and downs in the season, but you saw some improvement in terms of the running game. The offensive line had its good games, it had its bad games. Josh McCown did well, even though obviously we all know he's not the quarterback of the future for the New York Jets. Yeah. And then the wide receivers too. I think everything was really it's working out for the Jets. I understand the record isn't there, but if you're able to finish those fourth quarters and make those additions to the teams, I don't think
the Jets have been finishing fourth quarters.
I said if you're able to finish those fourth quarters.
And you know what? I can see where Dom is coming from because he's trying to say this is a fresh new Jet team. That's what it is.
How is it a fresh new Jet team?
Because they're a younger team.
Yeah, because he has to deal with a bunch of the younger players.
Congratulations. McCagnon finally hit on some draft picks. Tell me how that's better for Bowles.
But it's also a sense that Bowles is finally putting his foot down as a head coach.
It took him long enough.
Well, it's happening. Would you rather him not do it? He's finally handling a Muhammad Wilkerson situation.
I'd rather he be gone. He's had his chance and he's failed. He can't develop a quarterback. He can't develop an offensive line. He's the head coach.
Well,
that's his one job.
When you look at the quarterbacks, though, I mean, they really weren't promising
Develop
picks.
Petty. Develop Hackenberg. He was a second-round pick.
I don't think so.
That's the one job of a head coach, to develop a quarterback. You have one job and you fail. Belichick was able to do it. Coughlin was able to do it with Eli Manning.
Bill Belichick
Coughlin was able to do it with Eli Manning. Why can't I compare them? They're AFC East coaches. They're both head coaches, Dominic.
All right, well, Bill Belichick, come on. You look at the legacy
Sean McVay's doing it with Jared Goff.
Okay, yes, but that's because
Peterson's doing it with Carson
But you have to realize the chemistry. All right, I'm telling you, you will see that this team is going to put together, between the draft and free agency, they're going to put together a great team. And I already know. I have a feeling that I could say this right now. And this will be, if it's a bold pick again, I'll do my bold picks like I always do. But I'm telling you, I think Todd Bowles and the New York Jets are going to have a great season in terms of next year. It depends on, obviously, with the whole situation with free agency and draft. If they mess that up, and I will say that in terms of what the moves the Jets do in free agency, I will say if they're messing it up or not, because I know what they're capable of doing with the money they have. But if they do that, if they have the pieces, they have the money, if they sign those pieces, they get everything together, I think they could be a good team and they're heading in the right direction, which is why I think they made the move. But
didn't they do that in McCagnon's first year, though? Didn't they bring in all the right pieces McCagnon's first year, and they still missed the playoffs?
You have to realize that they went to more older players, in terms of with Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie, and then also...
Which everyone wanted them to do.
All right, well, yes, as fans, you want them to bring back Darrelle Revis and
Cromartie and Screen and Gilchrist.
You wanted that to happen as Jet fans in terms... Because, they were lacking in the secondary, which at the time, those were the big key free agents. Yes, all right, fine. They whiffed on it a little bit. Actually, not a little bit, a lot of it. I mean, for 1 year, they played well together. But I'd say in terms of looking at this free agency compared to the last free agency, I can't even compare.
What are you talking about? I'm losing you.
All right, when you look at the free agency from when it was Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie, right?
Dominic, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about free agency, which is McCagnon's department, and you're talking about play on the field, which is Bowles' department. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the play on the field and the back-to-back 5-11 records.
When you're looking at the play on the field, I think it improved from last year.
They're stagnant. Dominic, they're stagnant. It's the same record.
Well,
younger players, they're more exciting.
Opinions.
They're more exciting this year. That's what you're seeing. You're not seeing better play. You're seeing more exciting players.
I'm seeing a better run game. I'm seeing a lot of improvement from the young wide receivers. Run game. Tight ends, the Jets were actually able to use it like this season. I think the quarterback...
Which I give Morton credit for.
The quarterback play was better. Unfortunately, again, you have McCown, who is obviously not the future of this team, being 38 years old. Don't even know he's going to be back with the team next year. So it's a situation that, I feel like it could go either way. I really do.
I just hope you guys get a great quarterback. It doesn't have to be a veteran or a young guy, you know what I'm saying? Either one. I just need to see you guys going in the right direction.
And I don't even think the Jets should go with quarterback in the draft.
I agree with you.
They whiffed on that.
McCagnon can't scout quarterbacks.
They whiffed on that, and it's something they should not go to. That's why you're going to look at whatever quarterbacks are, that are going to be in free agency this year. We already know it could be Kirk Cousins, it could be Tyrod Taylor, it could be any of the Minnesota Vikings quarterbacks. It could be.
I like how you did that. That was funny.
Because it's
no, we don't know
whoever they want.
A race, with those guys over there.
No, you're right.
And because then with that, I think I said this on Tuesday's show, but it gives the Jets so much more flexibility in terms of what to do in the draft, especially that they're going to be picking from either pick 5 to 7, whatever happens this week. But it's something that I think that if you're able to go get go and get, a veteran quarterback who's already developed, who you're going to get, maybe you can improve on with them. I think that's the way to go for the New York Jets in terms of free agency.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. It opens up so much more flexibility in terms of the draft options.
No, I agree with you. You're listening to Beyond the Game on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. This show is on twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. So let's switch gears to that other tenant of MetLife Stadium.
Yes.
The Giants hired Dave Gettleman to be their GM. Before this, he was the Panthers GM from 2013 to 2017. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the hire?
Well, I'm going to just mention two things, I think, in terms of his case. I think it's a reliable pick. And two, we still don't know what we're getting. Because when I say reliable, I mean, it's a guy that's been with the Giants for about 15 years. The Mara and the Tisches, they know him very well. He's done a lot of great things. He won 2 Super Bowls. You know what I mean? So I think that's the great thing that
fans... He has a 3rd Super Bowl from somewhere else. I don't remember where.
I'm just talking about in terms of being with the Giants,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. So... that's a great aspect that fans are going to look forward to. But the thing with that is he got released earlier this year. I don't know what the problem was between him and Richardson. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, him and Jerry Richardson did not get along.
But apparently they clashed a lot.
But let's just be honest. The Giants needed, I think, a guy that's very sturdy and that's going to get the locker room back together, I think. In terms of McAdoo, what he did to us this year, I think it was terrible. I mean, he clearly had no control, and it was just bad on offense.
You're talking about 2 different things.
I know, but still, I think as a GM, you still have a right to, get the locker room together and bring in some great players that can all get to...
It's the head coach's job to keep the locker room together. It's not the GM's job.
I know, but... he's one of those guys that I think a lot of people took him for granted because of the way how he acted. And
Dave Gettleman did not do that great a job in Carolina. I got news for you.
15-1, they went to the Super Bowl.
Not because of Gettleman.
I just want to put something into perspective. During his time with Carolina, I have it right here, he was 40-23-1. And that
roster is the most untalented roster in the NFL.
Right.
And if it's not the most, it's certainly up there.
Right, but obviously they got to the Super Bowl in that time, they lost. But you know what I was surprised about in terms of the hiring of Gettleman? I was surprised in how sudden it was because apparently the search was supposed to go into the new year. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of Giants fans' problem with it was. They wanted the Maras and the Tisches to expand their search. But honestly, Brandon, you hit on a little bit. But I wouldn't call it a reliable pick. I'd call it a safe pick because he was with the organization before.
Did everyone forget that he cut Josh Norman and let him go for nothing?
Yeah,
one of the stupidest moves in modern NFL history.
And ended up being the right move because he's not the player that he was anymore. He's on the decline now.
Look at what that team did without him.
I understand that, but now
look at the cornerbacks they have now.
I understand that, but now in terms of Josh Norman in particular, he's on the decline.
He's better than any cornerback Carolina has, Eric.
Look, you may be right, but I'm
right.
I'm just talking on terms of his attitude problems, which is basically why he didn't like them. But then you can say the same thing for Odell Beckham Jr. But the only thing is that Gettleman honestly is in love.
Every NFL player has attitude problems, and it's the coach's job to deal with it. For goodness sake, guys, use your noodles. We do have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on Beyond the Game.
How you doing, Richie from Shirley?
Hey, Richie, how are you?
Okay, good. First of all, Eli Apple, he's gone. Get rid of him already. He's gone.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
He is done like dinner.
He's like a cancer in the locker room.
Where have I heard that before?
I know, right? The thing, too, is he was telling, I know his mother was sick, and she had surgery. But before this, he was telling his mother everything was going on in the Giant locker room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, my mom had surgery recently. I don't tell her everything that happens here. If I did, she'd end up back in the hospital.
I understand, but this kid's got to go, too. He's gone.
You're right. You're 100% right. And what kind of not bothered me, what surprised me, was Landon Collins apologizing afterwards. How do you apologize for that? Oh, I'm sorry I called you a cancer. You know what I would say? Screw you! You called me a cancer!
I think it was for media attention.
But you know what? When Bill Parcells was the coach, it was Harry Carson and Lawrence Taylor who was his lieutenants in the locker room. Well, that's what the Giants need now. to straighten this crap out before the season starts.
And I do think that Gettleman's going to hire a good head coach. He had luck with Ron Rivera and working with him in Carolina. That's worked out well. Yeah. And I think Gettleman will do the right thing and certainly not go with Spagnuolo, because I've heard that mentioned.
One thing I want to mention, what would you do with Eli?
With Eli Manning?
Eli Manning?
Yeah.
I would honestly keep him and name him the starter, and I would pick a quarterback in the second day of the draft, like maybe a Josh Allen or a Baker Mayfield.
Gettleman came out and said that he plans on Eli Manning returning next year.
Good.
I hope so. All right, guys. Happy New Year.
You too, Richie.
Great call right there, Richie. Always calling in.
Yeah, gotta love it. Yeah. You're listening to Beyond the Game on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We're going to take a quick break right now, but don't go anywhere, because we'll have an exclusive interview with Casey Schreiber coming up next. She's the author of Saints in the